Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to another edition of BackTracks and BackLogs, the premier series that takes a look at games you either want to check out, new releases you haven't had time to dive into yet, or those retro classics that you are thinking about running through again. My name is Andre Silva, aka Tally Drake, and today we are traveling to the lands between of a little game called Elden Ring. With the Shadows of the Erd Tree DLC just dropping, I figured now would be a good time as any to head back into what many, including myself, might say is one of the greatest games to drop in not only the past decade, but also of all time. Plus, I need to dust off some of the old rust if I'm going to be dodge rolling with the best of them for my homegirl, Ronnie.
Someone must extinguish thy flame.
Elden Ring is the open world action adventure developed by FromSoftware. For those unfamiliar, FromSoftware is the team behind the increasingly popular Soulsborne genre of games, which includes the Dark Souls series 1 through 3, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Bloodborne. This genre of game is specifically known for its emphasis on combat mechanics, environmental storytelling, and most famously, or infamously, depending on who you ask, high levels of difficulty. Building on the formula slash foundation FromSoft has built since the original Dark Souls, Elden Ring has cultivated a masterclass in these principles in what is its most accessible title to date. Believe me, as someone who has died time after time after time, again and again and again, or more ways that I can count in these worlds, Elden Ring aids in guiding veterans of these games like myself all the way down to newcomers without sacrificing the very soul, pun intended there, of what makes these games great in a new open world. But we'll dive deeper into that throughout this video. In Elden Ring, you are a tarnished transported to this world known as the Lands Between in order to repair the now shattered Elden Ring, reclaiming it from several demigods throughout the game, granting you access to the Erd Tree and, of course, the end game. Sounds simple enough, but in true FromSoft fashion, the fun is in the journey, and that, quite frankly, is the utter beauty of it. Stepping out into Limgrave for the first time truly does not prepare you for how deep this game goes, and more importantly, how far you can stretch out the experience. With over a dozen different regions, each chocked to the brim with their own experiences in smaller areas, Elden Ring boasts some of the most gorgeous lands for you to take in on your journey. Whether it be the serene vistas of Liurnia, the tranquility of the starlight underground of Siofria, all the way to the unabashed doom and gloom of Caelid, or, as I like to call it, Little Florida, you'll lose yourself each time you step and explore in each of these areas. Each region is deep and loaded to the brim with contents with separate towers, settlements, caves, castles, fortresses, and the appropriately named Legacy Dungeon, the endgame for each area. These Legacy Dungeons house the final boss for each region and are tougher than the last. Quite frankly, some of these places can be a little bit daunting at first, but when you walk in, you walk through every step of the way. It's simply breathtaking just to see it overall come together. Which brings me now to another core element of many of the Souls games, the bosses. Ranging from big to small, conventional to unconventional, all the way to the awe-inspiring to the simply just downright disturbing. Rykard and Godric, I am looking directly at you, and trust me, folks, once you get to both of these, you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from with these. But not only these two, each one of these encounters has a sense of gravitas simply because no matter if you are level 1, level 100, or level 150, or even up to level 1713, because trust me, folks, you can definitely spend enough time to get to those levels. One slip up can lead you to this.
I am Melania, Blade
Now we can devour God together.
Thy fate lieth under my moon.
And trust me, folks, that is a screen that you're going to be well acquainted with time after time after time you load this game up. The reasons the bosses are integral to the Souls formula are the battles themselves. Each boss has unique patterns you follow and learn over the course of the fight, kind of like a dance, 1-2 step here, 1-2 step there, get the rhythm and the flow, and that's basically the beauty of the entire game. Learning these patterns and tricks to taking down boss after boss is what the game and the Souls-like genre is simply all about. That satisfaction/achievement that comes with getting past that obstacle. In Elden Ring, the goal is to be the unstoppable force that breaks through the immovable object. There are going to be times where you feel like you are not the unstoppable force, but with enough practice, patience, and wherewithal to get to where you want to go and get to understanding how these games are played, you definitely will be able to bust that and break through that roadblock. Plus, it helps that these bosses each have their own really badass designs, environments, and scores that truly flesh out the experience. Now, I will give you one little tidbit for these games. The bigger the boss, quite frankly, the much easier they are to overcome. Is the bosses that are closer to your size that you have to worry about. The human-sized bosses, the smaller, the ones that more harder to track, and quite frankly, are the ones that probably give you more nightmares. Melania, I'm definitely talking about you, but hey, you'll find out when you guys get there. But the idea is to simply survive and advance. And when the enemy felled/demigod vanquished crosses that screen, simply there's no better feeling than that. Taking down these bosses is what will take you across the lands between up until you make it to the Elden Throne and thus the end game. However, what you do, and more importantly, how you get there, is all up to you. With different covenants for your choosing, several different endings, you hold the fate of this entire world in your hands. And quite frankly, you are able to dictate how it's done and what happens to it. And that is basically the true journey in this game. Once you break through Stormvale Castle, the game opens up and you can take a path anywhere that will lead you to your final goal. Do you want to take down the demigods and reach the stars with Ronnie by conquering the depths of Sophria? Simply you can. Do you want to conquer the cult that has enveloped Volcano Manor under the guise of a serpent god? You still can. Do you want to just wander aimlessly in the snowfield and stumble upon secret upon secret? I mean, best of luck to you if that's what you want to do, but you're in luck because you can. Elden Ring, like all Souls-like games before it, places an emphasis on what is known as environmental storytelling. Meaning, if you want to learn more about the world at large, you're going to have to take some time and some small little moments to go and smell the roses. Or, in Elden Ring's case, you're going to do some reading, as every item in the world has not only some form of importance, but a connection to the world at large. For you lore heads out there, trust me, if you like to read like myself, you want to spend a little time kind of learning the world around you for the world building, I highly recommend this. Sure, you'll get a really brief intro at the beginning of what's going on in this world, but it's up to you, the player, about how deep you want to immerse yourself into this world. Whether you want to just wander around aimlessly and learn about why Scarlet Rot is taking over Caelid, or sprint all the way to the Elden Beasts, just because they are between you and sitting on the Elden Throne. This game is dictated solely by your journey and how you want to see it through. Which brings us to just that, the journey and how long can one lose themselves to the lands between. Last time we had Star Fox clock in at about a cool 20 to 30 minutes with a whole lot of replayability. Here, my time in Elden Ring on my first playthrough clocked in at a whopping 56 hours and 32 minutes. Now, granted, remember, like I said a few moments ago, I'm a little bit of a lore head. I like to read. I like to run around, wander around aimlessly, taking all the sights and vistas. So it might be a little bit shorter than that, but if you're like myself and want to stop and smell the roses, 56 hours and 32 minutes is probably what you're going to about to do. That's nearly 2.5 days of a maidenless voyage through FromSoft's fantasy epic. And honestly, that time flew by. And I mean, the time flew by for this video too as well. I still haven't talked about summons, bringing in people that can basically help you out in any regard. We're co-op and PvP. You have invasions as well. To me, this game has so many different ways you can play it, whether it be as a mage or a sorcerer. You can be a samurai. You can be a bow and arrow attack from distance. There's no shortage of ways to play around because this game is loaded. This is a game, once again, that has that high replayability principle. This game is a time investment, for sure. But the ROI on this will have you coming back again and again and again. And you're not going to think you wasted your time heading back to the land between and playing it and doing it the way, most importantly, you want to and having it your way. I created this channel to help working folks pick and choose what games to sink their teeth in without the fear of diving into something that, quite frankly, isn't for them or worse, a waste of their time. Elden Ring is the first game in a long time I come back to time and time again just to play for a few hours here and there, and I'm still finding out new things, experiencing new encounters, and most importantly, still having that big dumb smile on my face. So is this worth the time? This is a game you simply have to make time for because once you do, you'll never understand why you didn't make time for it in the first place. This game is the quintessential bang for your buck. Sure, there are lumps when diving into a game like this because there's going to be a lot of time and a lot of hours, and you really need to sink your teeth in and be committed to actually getting the full effect of it. But once you get the full effect and once you truly get what this game is, I mean, it's worth it. It's beyond worth it. Overall, to me, that's what really matters when actually spending your time and money on games like this, especially where we all are at. So, if you can't tell, this is a big thumbs up from myself, the big homie. Now that you have my opinion, make sure you go out and try yourself and see what you think. Now, I wanted to do this video before Side of the Archery dropped, but unsurprisingly, I did not have the patience nor the strong, greater will, pun intended again, to not play that before, I guess, when everything already dropped. Now, here's where you can help me out. Please feel free to like, share, and follow the channel and comment below what games you want to see next. These videos are a recess from my law lifestyle, and now that I get this behemoth out of the way, you better believe I got more games on the docket. Unless there's any objections, maybe some more Souls games, but I'm thinking something a little more tame is going to be on deck. But whatever it is, once again, I want to thank you for sticking with me. Until next time, this is your boy, Andre Silva, aka Tally Drake, and as always, take care, everybody.